but common saying was we bury the dead in the morning, we protest and fight in the afternoon, and then at night we party as hard as we can in celebration of everything. Because at the end of the day, seeing us happy and seeing us smile is what they hate the most, and that is what keeps us happy, and that's what keeps us alive.
You're goddamn right.
Hi, my friends, fiends, and unsavory beans. Welcome to another video. It's an interview, and I have, you probably already know, Kat of Cafe Foxtail.
Hi, hi.
So, if anyone in my audience doesn't know what you do, what exactly do you do on your lovely channel?
I react to memes on YouTube, mainly trans memes. Sometimes I do a little bit of like reacting to other queer memes, and I also stream on Twitch where I just play a variety of games and talk about a variety of topics.
What kind of topics?
I rant about a lot of things. Sometimes it's just stuff what's happening here in the United States. Sometimes I rant about stuff like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and computational intelligence, and just whatever is on my mind that day. So it's like a cat ranting hour, canting hour.
You also make some ASMR content, and that was actually where I first found you, from your TikToks.
Yeah, I I haven't made ASMR content in a hot minute. Mostly because I just like have problems finding a script or writing a script myself. So
Yeah, I know for a fact that there are people who your words of affirmation and all of that have really helped them get through some really hard times.
I just say the words that I've always wanted to hear, or the words that I've heard from my wife or through therapy for myself. And sometimes like it's just I put them out there for others to hear.
Mm. How long have you been walking the trans journey? I mean, probably your whole life, but you more specific.
Egg finally cracked 3 years ago. It was during the start of lockdown. So wait, that might be 4 years ago. Oh my God, it's been 4 years. It's been 4 years. Yeah, it's been 4 years of when my egg cracked, and then I started HRT. But like 6 months after that, yeah, I started HRT on September 11th, and it's been great ever since.
HRT on September 11th. Sorry.
Yep. There's nothing that happened that day that would at all cause any American to be like, so.
A new titty skittle hits. No kidding. Oh my God. Okay, but God, I feel like out of all the people I've interviewed, I think over half of them were pandemic trans people. What's your take on the whole like being locked inside and suddenly realizing you're a girl?
I mean, I think that's totally okay. It's just one of the things. It's just like, I think for a lot of us, we were in the shell for so long. We had no clue about anything. We were just miserable and we were living our lives. And when we finally got time to be by ourselves, thinking about the things and be like, wait a minute, I'm still sad, but like, why am I sad? And then you're just kind of trapped in your own thoughts, and you take the time to like discover those, like explore those thoughts and feelings, and out you come as a trans girl or trans guy or non-binary, whatever it may be. So,
Yeah,
or
definitely.
a gender.
No thanks, gender.
Yeah, gender? Never heard of them.
Gotcha. What got you into actually like doing the memes?
What finally got me into the memes is I was trying to find a way to like actually make content on YouTube, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And I honestly was watching my friend Alice Lunazera for a hot minute, and a part of me was just like, maybe I could also react to memes, but do it my own way. And so I got a lot of inspiration from her. I got a lot of inspiration from Jamie Dodger, OT, The Click, and I finally was just like, you know what? There's no way that I am going to ever make a video if I don't start. So I made the first video, and I was just like, well, if this video doesn't do super well, then I know that this is not for me. And if it does okay, then, I'll make another one. And since then, it's just basically been, until the videos bomb, I'm going to keep making videos.
What made you choose like the cozy, like aesthetic?
I'm gonna be like, well, I don't know. It's just who I am. Like IRL, I'm just kind of like, yes, I'm a little chaotic gremlin for the most part, but at the same time, I care more for like people's comfort and making sure that they feel taken care of. And I wanted to like have my content reflect who I am. And so a little bit of the Southern and Midwestern hospitality comes out. I just want to like make sure that people feel comfortable and knowing that it's okay to be themselves and it's okay to explore various identities and see what works for them. And it's okay wherever they come out, regardless if they come back to the same spot that they started in or if they end up in a new spot. So
Exactly. You know, I'm a Georgia peach myself, and I agree with the whole Southern hospitality thing.
yeah, I'm from Missouri. Misery.
Oh no.
Don't you call it Missouri. Oh my God. Missouri. Jesus. Put that in there for my wife to cringe if she ever watches this.
Oh no, I'm leaving that in. What?
No, that wasn't even a sound about you leaving it in. I was like, oh God, Missouri. Oh, the number of people who say that.
You can't just tell me that you're a little gremlin and not tell me like a gremlin story. Like, I'm sure you have a funny moment that comes to top of mind of your gremlin energy.
Oh, well, okay. The first one that comes to mind goes back to before I was trans, way back in the year of 2010, a long time ago when I was still in high school. But we just got done with doing one of our plays that we were a play or a musical. I can't remember which. Like my group of friends, what we would always do is we would go to a Walmart, we would go buy baby spoons, and we would go buy a pint of Ben and Jerry's. And then we would either go to the garden section of the Walmart and kind of just hang out and chill, having already paid for the baby spoons and the pint of ice cream. We would then kind of just hang, chill, chat, and kind of like do that. We were a little bit of menaces. But at the end of one of those days, we went out and we were just having a little bit of fun, kind of just chatting, talking, and making some jokes. And I don't remember what caused it, but there is a picture of me sitting on somebody's hood acting like the Jaguar. Be like, hey, look, your car's fancy. So, yeah, the car was not moving. I just want to preface that. The car was not moving. We got done eating at an IHOP. We went to the Walmart. We did our usual thing. And then we left. And yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Good times.
Is this like middle of the afternoon hangout, or is this like at 3 a.m. in the morning? You're like
3 a.m. in the
messing
morning.
around? Yeah, exactly. Let's go.
Yeah.
I miss late night Walmart shenanigans. They all close
Oh
now.
my God. Yeah. It's kind of sad. So, but that's okay.
Oh my goodness. Reminds me of playing League with my friends till like 4 a.m. and then getting Steak and Shake.
Oh my God. Yeah, I used to do stuff like that as well. Or, well, it's more like we would play Battlefield 3. Yeah, I think Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4 until like God knows when. And then we would go to the Waffle House and then just like eat whatever was on our mind. So,
Gotcha. So you make trans meme content. You try to be a supportive force for the community. Like, how do you handle like fans reaching out to you, like because they see you as someone they can potentially? Because I know a lot. Like, I get it. Like, everyone gets it to an extent. Like, how do you personally handle that?
I mean, I always approach it cautiously because I never know why the person's reaching out to me originally, because usually it's just like, hey, Kat, can I ask you a question? And so I respond with a, yeah, sure, what's up? And kind of just like let them ask whatever their question may be. There have been times where I've definitely have asked people, I'm like, hey, could you, like, because in my space, my server, we have a whole ticketing system. So if people want to get in touch with me or with a mod, they can open up a ticket. And there have been a couple times where I've been like, hey, this needs to be a ticket. We need to, like, I need to talk to, like, all my mods need to see this. That way we can all, like, discuss it. But sometimes there's just times where people reach out to me and I handle it case by case and just kind of like chat with people if I need to chat with them, or if they're seeking advice, I either try to give them the best to my knowledge of the advice. If I know that I can help, and if I know that I can't, then I point them to resources and people who can.
Gotcha. I guess part of the reason I asked that question is because you mentioned ranting about the current
Mhm.
climate. Things are just getting, it just feels like they're escalating and escalating and escalating. And while the big ugly bill didn't pass the direct targeting, there's like the indirect targeting with Medicaid
Mhm.
being cut. Like, how do you foresee like us as a community surviving these blows that we keep getting hit one after another, since it is something you do talk about?
Community. Straight up just community. Like,
Mhm.
the reason why we have, because the thing is this is not new. This is not anything that hasn't happened before, and this is not something that will ever stop happening. But the way that we, as the trans community, and not even just like the trans community, it's the queer community, it's people of color, it's the disabled community, it's immigrants, it's all of us. We get through this all together by sticking with each other and staying with each other and knowing that, sometimes we gotta stand up and fight back, and you gotta know like where you fit and all that. Like for me personally, I am not like on the front lines, like out there fighting.
Mhm.
Like oh 07 to all of you who are. I think that's absolutely amazing. But I do sit extremely close to them, ready to be able to be there to be, I guess, like how I've always
Mhm.
explained it is you got to have your tanks and your DPSs, but you also got to have your healers and supports. And
Mhm.
I'm a healer, I'm a supporter, and I always make sure that my space is there for people to come in, relax, and take it easy, and know that they're not going to be harassed or have to worry about the other things that are happening on the outside coming in and ruining the coziness. And that can be a difficult thing to balance, and I've had to talk to my chat about this, and as videos come out, this is probably going to be more and more of a thing. But
Mhm.
I talk about some of the heavier stuff and some of the more difficult things because I need to make it very clear on where I stand on things and where I like what I think about stuff, so that way if anybody comes in and they are in opposition, that they don't feel
Mhm.
comfortable in my space, because that's kind of just it. It's just if they start feeling comfortable in my space, then I have completely lost everything that I have been working towards.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Community is super important. It's super important to know that you've got people here who are going to help you out. We as a queer community are very proud of everybody for coming out and for being brave enough to do so, because it takes a lot. And everything that this administration is throwing at us and everything that any other government is trying to do, that's not the first time this has happened. We've seen it with people of color. We've seen it with immigrants. We see it with immigrants every year. We saw it with the gay community during the Lavender Scare,
Mhm.
and we got through it. So we always have to be there to help each group out whenever we can and whenever we're able to. But we also have to know that it's okay to disconnect from the like online spaces and just take a break. Go play a video game that you really enjoy. Go touch some grass. Go breathe air. Go out and hang out with other queer people, and things, you get hope. You get hope from all that
Mhm.
stuff. So yeah, be active in your community and be around other people. I know it can be scary. Trust me, I have social anxiety, but it's always nice going to like town halls and seeing the number of people who are in support of us, and also just like the number of people who exist that are, just allies that want to help.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, even with all the bad things that are happening, there are also good things that are happening. I want to shout out to all of my Texans out there. I know, what is her name? Is it Mama Mephistopheles? I think on TikTok. She always puts out updates about what is going on in Texas. And I shared with my community that whenever the Texas legislator went out, because in Texas they do 6 months of like writing legislation, debating it, and passing it, and then they have 18 months off, and they are done. They're done with their 6 months of like coming up with
Mhm.
legislation and trying to pass it, and all of those trans bills that were there, the anti-trans laws that the Texas legislator was trying to write, are dead. They're all dead. They they're no longer going to be
Woo!
debated, and they're no longer going to be out there. And we got also things of, and this is very important for everybody out there who is seeking to get a passport, do so now. But the passport restriction has been blocked by federal courts. So I know we have the issues of like the BBB, and also the Scrimeti decision, and there are other things that we need to worry about. But there are victories that we are gaining, and there are ways that we are winning. So it's good to know that there are positive things that are happening as well.
Yeah. I think that it is kind of that ebb and flow of things getting better. Like that's what happened in the HIV/AIDS crisis, and
Hmm.
like our community. Yeah, it's a bit like that image with the plane that's like the survivor bias or whatever.
Hmm.
But like we have survived so much, and we will continue to do the best that we as a community can do. And I think everything you said was very well said.
Hmm. Yeah, I know things seem hopeless, but there is still hope out there, and there's still a lot of things that are going on that make it a lot easier for us to continue existing in this world. And those are the things to keep fighting for, and those are the things to keep reminding ourselves about. So I think this was during the AIDS crisis, but common saying was we bury the dead in the morning, we protest and fight in the afternoon, and then at night we party as hard as we can in celebration of everything, because at the end of the day, seeing us happy and seeing us smile is what they hate the most, and that is what keeps us happy, and that's what keeps us alive.
You're goddamn right.
So keep celebrating, keep being happy, and keep finding the things that you enjoy.
Speaking of keeping us happy, I keep hearing a little bell. Is that one that you're wearing, or do you have a fuzzy near you?
I have it's a cat. It's my roommate's cat. It pops into my videos every once in a while, and I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. It's she's just got a little collar on with a bell on it, so it's fine. Yeah, hold on. My roommate just popped. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's fine. It's a nice little treat for everybody.
I was just thinking, oh, common furry behavior.
I don't have a collar with a bell on it. I do have a collar, but not with a bell.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with all your lore. Are you a furry? I don't want to assume just because you have ears and a tail.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Okay.
It's one of the things of like, since I started transitioning and like I'm kind of finally like in a position, I'm just like, yeah, kind of like light, very, very like on the like the lighter end of the spectrum. So
Yeah. Let's see how many at the bingo card you check. So we have trans, furry. Are we also autistic / neurodivergent?
asterisk maybe. Yeah,
Asterisk
possibly.
maybe. Okay.
Yeah, that one's kind of complicated because my mom is a special education teacher and would never get me tested, but was always like, yeah, you have ADD and are autistic. I'm just like, okay, cool, but I'm not gonna get you tested because that costs money, and it's fine. I'm like, okay, because yeah, she was also like, you're also functional, so you're fine. I'm like,
That's
okay.
not how that works.
Yeah, so
Like me getting on my
Yeah.
soapbox, it's like, even if you're low support needs, like when you're non-functional, you're just as non-functional as someone with higher support needs. Like when you get to that point, we all need support. And oh
Mhm.
God, blah.
Yep.
And that makes me like want to fight because she's in the field. She should
Should know better.
okay. Yeah, I was gonna say that, but then I'm like, she's your mom.
Yep, but I'm not gonna lie. That's what it's. I think the biggest aspect of it all was the money, just because like I come from a very, I don't want to say poor, but like lower middle class family out in like small rural Missouri. Like being able to get the diagnosis along with like getting support and everything would have been so expensive. And because my mom was like, well, you're pretty like you function well enough to where like it's not going to be super needed, quote unquote, around that. There's no reason to actually do it. Your brother, on the other hand, has full-blown ADHD and he needs meds.
Well, I can say it is life-changing, even if you have minimal support needs, to learn how to accommodate yourself, because it just takes so much bandwidth off of you. So if you ever want to learn more, we can chat about it. In audience, you can look at my content if you want to learn more too.
Yeah, I think I would prefer to get a diagnosis first. That way, like I know, and then I can like go from there.
Well, in my most recent video, I talk about all of the quote unquote signs, and then at the end I talk about why sometimes formal diagnosis, particularly for autism, the ADHD, yeah, that's useful to get the actual meds, but for autism might not be the play. for lots of reasons, namely medical discrimination and like
Yes.
if we need to immigrate and all of that.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something my wife and I have talked about, and that's like because of the medical discrimination. My wife wanted to make sure that she had somebody that she could trust, so that way if she ever was diagnosed with autism, she could have somebody who was going to back her up on everything. And I said, oh hell yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. That is so true.
Speaking of, you mentioned your wife. Was your wife from before you transitioned and like supported you through it, or did you meet after?
Before. So my wife has been with me for 8 years right
Oh,
now.
let's go.
Yeah, it'll be 9 in September. Not the 11th.
You're just stacking the anniversaries for September so you don't forget. I see you.
No, that's not on purpose. That's not on purpose. It just happens to be.
Is your dating anniversary also in September? So wedding,
No.
dating, no?
No, dating was in January. Like we met in September on her mom's birthday. So that one's easy to remember. And then we started dating mid-January. And then we got married on June 5th.
Okay.
2022. So
Gotcha. So you have a lot of things in September, but not everything. Got it.
yes, thank Christ.
And I assume you're also a Halloween queer, so you also have that to deal with too, right?
Yeah, my birthday is right next to Halloween. So I'm extremely biased.
Same, actually. But we won't be saying those on camera.
That's fine.
I'm just being dramatic. Anywho, the final thing for the bingo card, to pick up that thread from like minutes ago, is the being in tech thing. And so you got the full bingo. So
yeah.
So I guess tell me a little bit about your history and how you got into AI.
Well, so I guess like quick notes on my background is I have a master's of science in computer engineering. Technically, there is no emphasis that I have because that's not what my university did. However, if I did have an emphasis, it would be in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and computational intelligence. And I guess all three of those are technically different, and I can get into that in a little bit. But my background is, and after that, I became a software engineer for 3 to 4 years, working for an insurance company and then working for a consulting firm for about a year. But when it comes to I'm going to stick with machine learning because that's more of what I did. I have a written paper on using hidden Markov models to detect explosive hazards for the US military. And that was basically like my entire thesis for my master's. So my entire background is basically like I spent my 5 years of undergrad because I did a double major being an electrical and computer engineer. And that was my undergrad. And I went straight into my master's because of the program that we had at my school. And my last 2 years of my undergrad, plus both my years as a grad student, were all within machine learning, computational intelligence, signal processing, and a little bit of artificial intelligence.
So, as someone who went to feeling school, who knows not like nothing about this, but compared to you, probably nothing, we've seen some really weird things with AI in the last bit that I can like think off the top of my head, like AI's like begging with people to not be turned off. We've seen like Grok, all of the behavior, but that makes sense because Elon Musk is manipulating it behind the scenes, but like getting so much so where like he tried to make it where it couldn't reply and then it created images of the replies it wanted to make. We've seen some pretty odd behavior. I guess, like, from your perspective as someone who knows way more than me, what's that about?
Well, I mean, this is what happens when you don't have any regulations or any kind of protections to make sure that, we understand what the AI is doing. Because the thing is, and this is kind of true, but at the same time, not true. A lot of these like tech bros and tech billionaires, what they think AI is like, it's just a black box where you have input, you train the model and then outcomes and output, which is kind of true. There is a black box that you can like basically not tell what is happening on the inside. However, it's also not true because you can technically look at each of the nodes and kind of get an idea of what the nodes are doing and like how they're classifying things. So there's also like no safety measures to like test and also to prevent these models from being able to be shut off or to be reset or to be like turned back, which is kind of an issue. So it's just, we have people who, and I hate AI now because it's just a buzzword for corporations, but we basically have all these people who are like have their fingers in the pie trying to like dictate what it is, and none of them know what that's actually going on. And we're propping up people who we think are like smart and intelligent when really they're just idiots who don't fully understand what they're talking about. So, and that like includes Musk and Zuckerberg and some of the other like CEOs that are out there, because everyone sees AI as being this new shiny thing, but in all reality, AI has been around since the 50s. Like we've had AI models that have done a lot of like good things. We've had a lot, like AI has been really good for science. It's been really good for like the video game industry. It's been really good for research and development. And it's now being used like in the worst way possible of like trying to overtake and replace artists, trying to replace software developers, and trying to replace other people like in key places that we really need them to be at. So it's problematic.
My brain is going in a bunch of different directions for potential questions I could ask, but I guess the first one, when you said we don't have like regulations for like turning on and off, when I first heard about the whole begging to not be turned off, I was like, did we create AGI and not know it? Like, and then we just turned it off anyway? Like,
I mean,
oh, by the way, AGI is like a general intelligence that isn't like just generative and things like that, to be clear.
Yeah.
For the audience that may not know.
I think that falls into a gray area. I don't think that we have gotten to that point. I think what it is because we use large language models for a lot of the stuff like ChatGPT and everything, they do learn through like a self-supervised training on how to like say things, but they don't fully know everything that they're talking about or what they're saying. So I don't think we've gotten to that point at all. It's because the issue is just like, and we've seen this with like these like LLMs, also known like what ChatGPT is, everything of like, hey, explain this one thing to me. And so they'll give like this response that seems really good and really close, but it's completely false. Like I remember one of my friends, their dad has written a couple of textbooks, and so they asked ChatGPT to like, hey, tell me about my dad. Tell me about this guy. And it talked about like him writing books and like his like expertise and everything. And the friend read through all of it and was like, if I didn't know better, I would have thought that this is real and this was true. All of this is a lie and none of this is real, verifying all that information. So I don't think we have gotten to the point of like self-aware artificial intelligence yet. But I think the begging is definitely the model understanding maybe how to use like sympathy and using like language that could be used to make us feel sympathetic and to make us feel worried about it. That's a possibility, but that, I don't know. I don't think we've gotten to a point quite yet.
Gotcha. That makes sense. You had mentioned that, AI has been around for a really long time, and now people are getting like more negative opinions because of it taking over art and artists and like that kind of stuff. Like, I guess, what is the good case, quote unquote, for like AI for people that might have only heard about it, like taking people's jobs or whatnot?
Okay. So this is the stuff that I rant about on stream. Okay, so, and yeah, I'm a little happy because I get to share the really cool things about artificial intelligence, mainly machine learning and computational intelligence. Okay, so AI has been around since like the 50s, and mainly what we've had like a lot of research uses computational intelligence and machine learning to like, okay, basic idea of what AI is. I'm going to kind of go through this that way people understand the differences. Especially AI is you give a hard set of rules that the model has to like use, and it makes decisions based off of those rules. Computational intelligence is using basically like human traits to learn and make decisions. So a common thing that is used, like two of the common things that are used are neural networks and generational models or genetic models. And then machine learning is you give the model data and it learns patterns and recognizes patterns and does pattern recognition to then classify and separate the data to then make decisions based off of what it has learned previously. So one thing that's been really cool is that back in the 2010s, there was an AI model that created an antenna to be used by NASA.
Mm-hmm.
So NASA was trying to figure out how to find these, trying to like collect a signal out in space. And they used an AI model that they had trained. More specifically, they had used a computational intelligence model to generate at least 2 antennas. Like these models learned how to do fractal math and then used that knowledge along with the data that they were given and the signal that they were specifically trying to find to then create these 2 antennas, which look weird as hell. And you look at them, you're like, what? No, those can't be useful, but they are. They're very useful for being able to detect these specific signals that NASA needs to collect for specific data, so that way they can do research on whatever it is that they were like trying to do. And this model figured out these antennas on its own and did it within a day. And the reason why this is really cool is because it would have taken a person months to have figured out, like even remotely, how to create like these antennas and their shapes. And so the really cool thing, and I've always said that AI, how artificial intelligence, machine learning, computational intelligence should be used is it should be used for research and it should be used for helping the sciences, and it should be used to like help with like understanding and not coming to an exact conclusion, but being given possibilities of what it could be. And an example that I usually use is like whenever you have somebody who is in the medical field and they are not really sure what their patient has, you want to use something like a model that can give the possibilities based off of the features or the symptoms that the patient is going through, maybe a little bit of patient history, and then the model can pop out not an exact answer, but the likelihood that it could be various like various diseases or conditions or symptoms. So that's like one way that it could be used. I think the one that a lot of people interact with on a daily basis, and the one that, you know, I would say a lot of people, I would say maybe anybody who plays video games. Artificial intelligence has been in video games pretty much since the conception of the media.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I think like the ones that are like, we basically have gone from having something like Mario where you have the Koopa who has like a state-based machine, which is, you know, it has a state that it's in, and based off of, you know, whatever its actions may be, you know, hey, move towards the player, move enter it like left or right, or attack, depending on like, you know, this is what the state that it's in. What are the probabilities of it going to the next state? What are the probabilities of it doing the next action, given like there was an action that was already taken? So there's those. And then we go all the way up into when we get to Halo 1, where we then get more sophisticated NPCs that we fight against. They make decisions. It's like a more realistic, or like the state-based machines that were used became more diverse and had like more options of like attack, do this roll, do this like actions, do these various things, to the point that we finally got to Alien Isolation, where the alien itself learns what the player is doing. And so it's using artificial intelligence to watch the player, keep track of what the player has done, and then will make decisions based off of the player's previous actions. So it's using more machine learning in that case, because it's getting data, it's learning what the patterns and the movements are, and then it like has the alien do certain actions to then heighten the fear factor and the scariness of the game, so that way you do feel like it's intense all the time, even when you're playing on like the easier setting. Sure, it will still be easy, however, the atmosphere and everything else is maintained because the model that is being used for the alien itself is learning what you're doing, and it's using that knowledge to then make decisions based off of that. And it's the same thing like in Baldur's Gate 3. Like there was an AI model that was used to make sure that it like kept the story going and the narrative going for the player based off of the player's decisions and actions. And it was just learning what the player was doing and then doing all that to then allow, like, it was basically like a huge decision tree And if you don't know what a decision tree is, it's basically like you have a node, you have a bunch of branches that go off of it, and each branch is a decision. It's like a choice that is made. And so then those choices, go to the next event, and then you have a bunch of choices from those. And so they can get very expansive and very deep. And the models basically are like doing a like min-max search, or maybe even just like an exploration search. So like a min-max search would be it's weighting actions that are taken, and what it will do is it will try to think of like what is coming up and what it's doing. And this is how chess AI models are usually trained. It will try to go down the max path on its turn to give it the most points, and then go down the minimum path on its opponent's turn to like minimize the amount of points that their opponent gains. And so each path that is taken is weighted so that it allows for the machine to find the best potential solution. And it's one of the things, like the deeper it can go into the tree, the harder it becomes to fight the model. But if it doesn't go so deep, it's a lot easier to fight against the model.
God, this is a little bit of a tangent, but you made me think of it because of current YouTuber recently came out with a video on chess cheating, Sarah Z. I guess, what are your thoughts on like humans and machines like coming together like to better themselves, to the point of like chess as a game wouldn't really be valid if we all could have stockfish in our brain, for example? Like, what's your thoughts there?
I think it's something that we need to be careful of. I think it's something that we need to be cautious of. Like I have said in the past, there are extremely good cases. I think using it for science and for research, it's great, and it helps with being able to like simplify a lot of things to make it easier for people to use the data that they have, and being able to like collect the data that they need and that they want and that they are looking for. However, on the other side of that coin is it also breeds laziness. And that's kind of the issue, because we see this in a lot of like, especially when it comes to like the generative AI models that are being used in creative spaces. All of those AI artists, I heavy quotes around that title, they can't even come up with an original idea, and they can't come up with anything that like would be creative. They lack the ability and the thought and the emotion that like goes behind art itself. And that's kind of like that's the thing that's great about humans, is we learn through experimenting and through trying different things and like seeing how things work, so that way we can then make a decision. And the thing that AI inhibits is, well, and I think I don't want to say just inhibits, but like I think the issue is a lot of people take the word of the AI to be the truth and the fact, and we see that whenever it comes to younger generations using AI to do their homework. But it breeds like a lack of creativity. It like breeds laziness, and it breeds the inability to think critically about stuff. I would say in certain areas it is great, it is good, but in most places you got to really be careful. And honestly, I would avoid using it as much as possible.
Well, I guess my thought is like, what would you say to the people that have been like, well, every time there was a new tech, people have said that like it'll melt your brain or whatever. Like they said that about books. Hell, Socrates said it about writing, for goodness sake. Like people have been saying that about new technology every single time something happens. So what makes you feel that this time it's kind of in a different category?
I mean, we have research. We have research and we have papers written on this topic about people who have been using AI to write their papers and to make art that shows that they are not able to like creatively or critically think as much as those who actively do the things that they are also like the one for one, like the artist versus AI artist, the people who write novels and books and papers versus those who use ChatGPT to write their papers. And I agree. There's a lot of times where it's just like we've had media that has been always kind of thrown under the bus of like, well, but it's making us lazier. It's making us this. Like, I would agree. I agree. Like in this case, for the most part, not fully, for the most part, because I do think that AI could be used to help make our lives easier. So that way we can then focus on the creative things, and then we can focus on things that we would more enjoy as people, not so much of I think it being used as a tool to make people's lives easier in ways that are not currently being used would be better than how it's being used currently, of trying to replace artists, trying to replace writers, trying to replace those within like the film industry, trying to replace software developers, because even like the code that's being used currently to like, because what is it? Microsoft, 30% of their code base is written by AI and it's all bloat. So that's why like a lot of your more recent like OS systems are slower and like take a little bit longer, is because these models, they're being used in a very lazy way to write code that is extremely important, and sometimes they don't even include safety features or like any kind of way to prevent them from being hacked and being broken into, and then like anything that would be security issues. And we saw that with Doge taking over the Department of Education. They had a page that they had put up and basically used ChatGPT to write the code for it all, and somebody who was a hacker just basically got into the system and changed the entirety of the front page to be like, hey, this is not secure, this is just laziness. I do think, yes, AI can be used as a wonderful tool to help better the lives of people. However, the way that it is currently being used is just purely out of laziness and purely out of the interest and lack of being able to actually pay people who are professionals in their positions to actually do their jobs.
The way that I usually think about it is that it's really good for refining like something you've created and like being like a check or whatever. Like some of the studies that you mentioned, I've looked into myself, and it was like the group that wrote their paper by themselves like the first time and then used the model to like write it over again actually still had the like critical thinking capabilities from doing it the first time, and like there was no loss the second time they actually used the model because they still did the work the first time. Another way I think about it is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like when I was growing up, I had a part of my brain dedicated to remembering 10-digit numbers all throughout my life. My parents' number, my number, like all of these different phone numbers. I don't have that anymore. I only know my own phone number. I don't even know like my wife's cell phone or any of my other partner's cell phones. Like I have absolutely no idea what they are. I would be up shit creek without a paddle if something were to happen to me and I didn't have my phone. But I save that bandwidth for other creative and professional endeavors. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, it's more of a tool, and that's what it needs to be used as. Like, I'm sure some people are going to balk at this, and then I want them to kind of listen to my words as I go through. But I use a little bit of AI in my videos, specifically for my captions. Whenever I'm recording, it's strictly me reading the memes, recording them. It's my actual reactions and all that stuff. And then I use DaVinci Resolve's subtitle captions to then basically write all the captions out themselves. I go through and I reread all of that stuff, and then I make any fixes that I need to make. But that use is more of a tool that is to make it easier for us to then be more creative and to allow for us to actually then like express ourselves more. It's not something that is being used in place of their creativity. So yeah. Again, I would stand, as even like with people who critically think, wrote the papers and then had the models go back through the papers and like, I would basically doing a grammar check and all of like doing like the grammar check, doing the spell check and all that stuff. That is fine. Again, because it's the person's own words that were already put, they had to think about, and they definitely use the model to help either make the points more succinct or to correct any grammar issues that they had. And that's something that we've had around for a while. We have spell check with Word. We have in Google Docs and everything, we have the spell checker. It uses whatever knowledge it has, whatever rule set it has, to then make a decision of like, hey, grammatically, this doesn't make sense. How about we try this instead?
You know, like, audience, you've been reading captions this entire time from DaVinci Resolve as well in all of my videos. So in this video, the captions, while edited by me, are AI. Like, you see that in every one of my videos because I do the same thing. And the reason I do it is because I'm a anime girl with not the best expressions because I'm a VR chat avatar. Like, I do it in order to help accommodate people so they can follow along better. That's why I burn the subtitles into my videos. I guess, like, what is your thoughts with like AI and like accommodation of disability, for example?
Captions in general. Like if you go to Twitch and you use their native caption utility, that's using a LLM to decipher what it is that is being said by the person, to use a sound wave. It uses the sound wave, it kind of figures what it is based off of that, and then prints out the words. So yeah, it's been around. It's been a technology for a while. Sure, people still will go through, and like for like TV specifically, it's a little bit more accurate because you can have the writers who you have the script, so it's not that hard to just like put it in. But when it comes to like a live speech or comes to live text, you know, you might have somebody who is typing, but you might also end up having a model who is like from what it has learned from the English language or whatever language it may be that you're speaking in, will then put up captions based off of what it is that you're saying. So I use Twitch as a good example just because like Twitch is live. It's not going to have anybody back there writing the model or like writing the captions or writing anything else. There's no way in hell that the streamer's writing these captions as they're streaming as well. So it's using artificial intelligence to learn what is being said and to then put that out. When it comes to disabilities, I think, again, it can be of great use, especially whenever it comes to either aiding people is the key thing. And that will be my stance on artificial intelligence, machine learning, computational intelligence. I believe that they are a tool that can be used to help people to live a more comfortable and safer life than to like take over creative spaces. And that is where I stand. Yeah, I think AI can definitely be used to help people who are disabled and who are have disabilities. I will also put a little asterisk on this because I know some people, and this is like a whole own debate of its own, but I know some people have used disability as a reasoning why they're using AI art and everything. I think that has a lot of problems around it that a lot of people within the disabled community have basically called out and been like, hey, no, don't use us as like a reason to, as your crutch. We are able to still make art even when we have our disabilities because we can still express ourselves. Like there's that, I think that is an excuse that is purposely trying to use a group as a crutch, as a scapegoat to justify their use of something that is destroying, like trying to destroy an entire industry. Because it's the same thing with like cheating in video games when we're using a Zim for first-person shooters. A lot of people would use the disability argument of, well, it allows for me to play the game because I have a disability. And then you have people who have disabilities who are speaking out, be like, no, I can still play Destiny 2, I can still play COD, I can still play Apex, I can still play all these other games. And I know somebody who had 3 fingers on one hand and a nub, and that guy was kicking my ass in Call of Duty all the time. He was kicking my ass in Battlefield. It's because there are already controllers and ways to use like controllers to still help people who are disabled. So it's overall, I think it's a good use. However, I do think that there is a little section that is problematic, that it falls more into needs to be scrutinized and kind of keep an eye on, because that all makes sense.
Gotcha. Well, the last bulwark that people who are determined to always hate I will be they might give you they might like resign everything that you said. It's like, fine, I agree with everything you've said so far, but what about my environment? Like, what would you say to them?
Wait, but what about my
I was
environment?
that was a joke. That was a joke. Like, what about the environment? I was memeing.
Oh, oh my God. No, yeah. No. You're so right. Rock, terrible. The way that it's actually destroying the environment right now by using it's using like gas and coal energy to be able to power the systems and cool the systems is so fucked up. Yeah, it's destroying the environment. I definitely agree. The way that models, especially like these generative models and these LLMs are being used, is destroying the environment. And there are better ways and safer ways to definitely cool these systems to allow for them to still be able to learn and train. And also, quite frankly, you don't need like these giant machines to do this. Like whenever I was working in research and we were doing like data processing and everything, we had one PC with at the time, I think it was 1080 Ti. Thank you, because it was a long time ago, and that was like the top of the line. That was the top of the line GPU at the time. But we had that with like 64 gigabytes of RAM, along with like the top of the line CPU, and that was able to process all the data and everything within hours because of like how you like do threading and how you can like have all the data be processed like in a parallel manner. And you could be like, oh, the cat, you're only talking about like maybe a few hundred to a few thousand data points. No, I'm talking about we processed millions of data points on one 1080p GTX 1080 Ti. Thank you for putting that into the recording chat. I saw that over there. But we were like processing million points of data across like 6 of us. If in that case you could be using like you could have green energy. Like my house where I live right now, we have solar panels on the roof. We don't pay for any electricity at all during the summer, and very little during the spring and during the fall, because all of the energy that we get is like it's surplus. The only time we ever pay for energy is like during the winter. And even when we get the energy bill, the state of Massachusetts, I'm going to go ahead, I'm in the state of Massachusetts. The state of Massachusetts tells you how much of your energy comes from certain sources. I think it's only like 5% of the energy that our bill usually has comes from gas and oil and coal. The other 95% of it's all renewable energy. It's wind, it's solar, it's hydroelectric, it's all these other sources. There are definitely better ways to be cooling these systems, but at the same time, you don't need to have these huge data centers that are doing this. It's just a waste.
So
it could be done more efficiently.
I had a thought actually while I was listening to you talk. Is this just another capitalism ruins everything thing? It's because they're treating it like a space race type like thing where they're trying to do as much as quick as possible. Is that why the energy is as bad as it is in current like environment, and why they're like poisoning Memphis like and things like that, which is what Grok is doing?
Yes.
Oh.
Just dead stare into the camera. Yes. 100%. Like that. That's it. That's short answer, yes. Long answer, yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
No, that's just kind of it. It's just like, it's because like they don't put time and effort and energy into finding like a more efficient way of doing things, and a way that is definitely safe for the environment. It's why we need regulation. It's why we need rules around what it means to like be able to do artificial training or like artificial intelligence training, and to do things around that nature, because it's going to poison the town of Memphis. It's going to poison other areas that are low income, generally people of color, and are like poor areas. So it's definitely, capitalism is once again doing capitalism things and taking advantage of a system that they think that they can make profitable, and it's just destroying the planet once again.
Gotcha. So I didn't even realize it until I was hearing you talk, and I'm like, oh, it's the speed that's the problem, not the technology itself. Golly gee willikers.
Yeah,
Capitalism again.
yeah, it's just like the complete and total like it's like I swear these guys have never paid attention to their ethics class in like their capstone for like grad, if they even did grad school or undergrad. And it's just like because I remember whenever I was going through my undergrad and in my capstone, one of the things that we talked about the ethics of engineering. And
Mm-hmm.
like one of the things we definitely talked about was one, the impact on the environment of whatever the product that we were making was, and two, we went over Takata airbags and like the ethics behind all that stuff, and like how that whole debacle had a bunch of whistleblowers who were just ignored and fired, and
Mm.
nobody, like nothing was done about it until after quite a few people were already dead. And it's just like, had they listened to the whistleblowers, had they listened to the red flags that were given, had they listened to all the warning signs that were already like present, then we wouldn't have lost all those lives. And it's kind of the same thing of like with these large like data centers, it's had they taken the time and consideration to figure out how to efficiently and safely run these models in a manner that was definitely not going to, one, destroy the environment, two, destroy the communities that are around them, and three, not worry about, because that's the thing, is like the reason why it's in tenancy is because it's so cheap. It's like they're given grants and everything to be able to do the stuff, and the lack of safety is just kind of like hand waved away by the government there.
Mm.
So
Wow.
yeah, it's get mad at capitalists and get mad at your politicians.
I feel so much more enlightened about this topic than I did before our conversation. Like, there are things that are just kind of memed on the internet where people say AI is blah, or like this is blah for this reason, and you've just created so much more nuance that I think is a very valuable thing in our society, as we are a community that is notoriously under nuanced in like popular conversations around us. Like appreciation of nuance seems to be really important.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the thing. Like the people who hate AI, I don't blame them. I'm on your side. I'm 100% agreeing with you. There's a lot of things that like AI is bad for, and I agree. Like the way that it's currently being used is utterly terrible and it's bad. Uh, but I also like I have seen the positives of how artificial intelligence and machine learning and computational intelligence can be used, and in ways that are extremely helpful. Actually, another way that I forgot this example earlier, if you don't mind me sharing it.
Of course, of course.
Another example of artificial intelligence that has been used, and this one it has a double-edged sword attached to it, is there are spectrographs. It is basically like ground penetrating radar, and it kind of like has like a lot of data attached to it. If I use the correct word there, but there, whenever I was doing my graduate research, one of the schools who we were partnered with for the U.S. military, they had another section, another team working on stuff, and they were working on using ground penetration data to find bodies that were buried out in the
Oh.
bayou because they were in Louisiana for missing people. So that's the positive, right? Of like being able to find people who have gone missing, and maybe there is like a grave or that was like recently dug up like within the past week or so or month or so, and that could be then used to then find the people who have been missing if they are presumed dead. I know, kind of grim subject, but
Bring solace to
I
people.
say it brings solace to people, and it makes it a lot easier to find like missing people, and sometimes like that's good. The other side of that sword is, and this is what ended up getting my like my research defunded because it was during the first Trump administration. You can find tunnels that are being used to traffic drugs into the United States, supposedly, and for trying to prevent illegal immigrants coming into the country. Which, by the way, my opinion on this is that is utter bullshit. Anybody who comes, you can't be an illegal person on land that is stolen land. So, if you want to know my opinion, I hated that research and I thought it was the dumbest thing, and so did my professor. You were both just like, "Are you kidding us? This is why we got defunded? We were like, our research was not only used for like the U.S. military to help like keep soldiers safe, but to keep civilians safe. To like detecting explosive hazards in like various areas is extremely key and important because there are so many out there that are just undetonated, and being able to identify where they are to detonate them safely not only protects soldiers, but it protects the people around that area. So yeah, that got defunded because that was not as important as it was to find illegal immigrants at the border.
Oh my god. And like, and now it'll bite them in the butt because, you know, all of Ukraine, after this war eventually one day ends, there's going to be so many freaking mines like all over the entire freaking country that'll be more difficult to find now.
Yep. So there'll be a lot of unexploded ordnances kind of around. So
Wow.
yeah,
Well,
again, get mad at your local politicians and get mad at capitalism.
so Kat, this has been such a lovely discussion. As we are kind of wrapping things up, is there anything that you would like to end us out on in particular?
Yeah, I know a lot of things seem scary and a lot of things seem really bleak, and at times, but it's okay. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna keep fighting, and we're going to, there are people out there who keep fighting for our rights, for the rights of others, for the planet itself. No one's done. No one's given up. There are a lot of people out there who are continuously fighting for the good of this world and for the things that are right. And I know it can be scary and it can be terrifying, but it's okay to take a break, and it's okay to remove yourself from everything that's going on, because there is such a thing as empathy burnout, and it's a lot. But you're able to just disconnect for a little bit, take that time for yourself to figure out what it is that you need to do to recover yourself. And then whenever you're ready to get back in, there will be a lot of us still here, still fighting for you to help out. And, maybe you take somebody else's spot so that way they can also then go and recover. So stick with your community, stick with those around you, and just know that we will get through this together.
Exactly. And as Kat said earlier, you don't have to necessarily be the one that is capital F fighting. You can support people. You can be like a healer. You can create spaces for people to take those breathers. Like, it is so much more complicated than roar, fight people like on the streets or whatever. You can only punch so many Yahtzees.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
make sure your knuckles are bandaged.
Exactly. So, where can people find you if they need to find you, and where they can find us reading memes on your channel?
Yeah. Okay, so the reading of memes on my channel, I'm not sure when it will come up in relation to this video, but you can find that at YouTube at Cafe Foxtail. Oh my god, that is much harder to say than I thought it would be. YouTube at Cafe Foxtail, KATFE FOXTALE. And if you want to ever come watch me live over on Twitch, it's at Cafe Foxtail, CAFE FOXTALE. I know a lot of people get really confused with TAIL, but no, it's tail like telling a story. So yeah, that's where you can find me. All my socials are Cafe Foxtail as well. I'm over on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok for as long as TikTok is available to the United States. And yeah, you can come hang out, come by, come chill, go watch my content. A lot of it's very cozy. And, yeah. I'm also very
Yay!
yeah.
So, like and subscribe and ring the bell and all the fun things and do the same over there for Kat. And
Hmm.
I just gotta say, bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Welcome to the end card. This is Rhea post FFS recording this end card. Go look at the collaboration with Kat and check out the memes. I am going to record about this process next time. Thank you to all my patrons and fan art. Oh my god, I'm going to sleep.